I don't remember dates. I couldn't tell you when the most important moments of my life happened. I can hardly remember my sister's birthday. I don't know the day I got my dream role. I couldn't tell you the day I received the greatest compliment of my career, though I remember the moment like a picture. In truth, I should say that I don't remember most dates, but I remember hers. I remember February 8th, 2020, a Saturday. The night of the ballet benefit I was coerced into performing at, where she was playing the piano. I remember that night because we talked for hours after the show. I remember walking her to her car and the very rom-com way in which I asked her out. I remember March 5th, the night she came to see my show. I wasn't sure if she was going to be there because 2 days earlier we had gone to Flagstaff, telling ourselves we could spend 10 hours together and not have our feelings grow. We were horrible liars. The next day she said she needed space. So on March 5th, I didn't know whether or not she would be there, but when I stepped on stage for the first time, when I heard her cackle at a joke, I knew. She was waiting for me when I left the theater. We sat in our cars, windows open to give ourselves a safe distance. We talked for hours about how we felt, what we wanted, but how the timing just wasn't right. That we couldn't be together. But that's not why I remember that date. I remember that day because after talking for 2 hours, bemoaning our situation and telling each other our deepest, oldest traumas, the worst things that have ever happened to us, we kissed for the first time. 2 hours spent saying we cannot be together, and an hour making out in the parking lot of Mesa Arts Center at 1 a.m. I remember March 17th, the date of our third date. I spent that day preparing. I bought a mattress pad, I washed blankets and pillowcases, all in preparation for our night. We drove out to the desert to go stargazing. I remember turning the bed of my truck into a makeshift bed. Somewhere soft and cozy we could lay and hold each other and look at the stars. I remember the feeling of peace that washed over me, of calm, of comfort, the feeling of seeing the stars in her eyes, staring back at me, knowing I was being truly seen for the first time. I remember when she fell asleep in my arms, how she would turn over in the night, wake for a moment, kiss me, and go back to sleep, burrowing tighter into me. I remember feeling whole for the first time. And I remember April 24th, the day the illusion shattered. We'd been fighting for so long to keep going, knowing we were both crossing boundaries we had set for ourselves, knowing that our love alone wasn't enough to overcome the roadblocks to us committing. That love wasn't enough to be together. I remember the words, "We need to take a step back." I remember the tears I shed, cries of anguish and agony that escaped my lips that night, try as I might to silence them, the pain of feeling like a part of myself was ripped away, discarded. I remember that date all too well. These dates are etched in my memory, burned into the fabric of my being, the dates of my greatest joys and my greatest sorrow. The dates that make it so hard to believe that I will ever feel whole again. This is the lie that I tell myself. But as I said, I'm a horrible liar. And God, I really hope I'm wrong.